This is our final episode. Hello, Joe.
Hello, Betsy.
And I want to start by warning all of our listeners that I, at least, given what we're going to be talking about today, which is basically the state of education, I'm going to be dropping some F-bombs and probably other nasty words because the stuff that's going on in our country is nasty and it makes me mad. So if you are, say, driving in the car with some children, put earphones on them or have them cover their ears and make noise like, or use your own earphones or wait until you're alone because we're not going to hold back. I'm not going to hold back. Are you going to hold back, Joe?
I would never drop an F-bomb on one of these. I am scandalized, frankly, that this is where this is going to be heading. I can't. No.
It's not like
I will likely drop some doozies myself.
Yeah, I know you well enough and you know me well enough. Yeah. There is no conversation we have that does not have an F-bomb in it. In fact,
very few.
It's not a complete conversation without an F-bomb. In fact,
no.
I feel like if we've parted without having dropped an F-bomb, I'm like, wait a minute, there's something missing. Something missing in my life.
Yeah.
Okay. So consider yourselves warned, listeners. We are not holding back this time. This is the end of season 3, and we are letting her rip.
When this started, I confess I did not understand. I guess maybe that's how it all turned out to be such a mess.
If you're new here, welcome. I'm Betsy Burris, a teacher, educator, and psycho coach. Every week, I podcast or write on Substack about using your emotions to feel better and teach better. Sometimes you'll hear stories of educators as told to me or sent into the Teaching Through Emotions hotline, all of them discussed with me and my co-host, Joe Johnson. And sometimes you'll hear an interview with someone who offers an interesting perspective on teaching and learning. We unpack it all here on the feed and on Substack. I'm so glad you're here. All right, so my friend.
Yes.
We are finished with a year of TTE episodes, and it's been quite the year. I'm warning you, Joe. What we're going to do today is kind of start big, talk about education kind of in a big way, and then kind of like, what's going on in our country, in our states, and then we're going to get really minuscule, talk about what's going on in TTE, but we're just going to kind of try to do some summarizing of how this year has been to us as educators. And listeners, before we get into this final episode, we want to say a big thank you for coming along for the ride. Like, Joe and I are always on a ride together, but we really appreciate your coming with us. We're working behind the scenes on a very exciting new season. Season 4 is going to be coming up this fall. While we're busy with that this summer, I will be dropping some episodes of shows I really like that are not TTE, a couple of shows that I really love listening to, and I think you will too. And I'm going to drop at least one rerun of your favorite TTE episodes, maybe 1 or 2. I'm not sure how many. And then a couple bonus episodes, a really wonderful surprise episode that I'm really excited about making. So, TTE, we're going on hiatus officially, but there's still going to be stuff happening on the feed. So please check in, keep listening, because it's going to be a good summer. I just want to also say, tell us how the year went for you. Leave a comment or a voice message on the TTE hotline, 413-239-4158. Joe and I are going to be talking now about how the year went for us and how we feel about the shit that's been going down in our country, etc. But we love to hear from you too. We always love to hear from you. So let us know what changes you've experienced, what went well, what did not go well. Share with the community because we all benefit from comments and, revelations and lessons learned. So we'd love to hear from you. 413-239-4158. Okay, you ready, Joe?
I'm ready. Let's go.
We're going to go. Let's go. Let's go on this ride. All right, so what has happened in the great, big, beautiful world of education in our country? I mean, when you think about it, what occurs to you? Like, Department of Education, does it still exist?
Yeah, that's been a weird one. There's been so much strangeness this year. I have an acquaintance who's been very helpful with different programs that I've launched, and he's very, very to the right. And early on in this Trump term, I try to keep things very friendly, and he's got his heart in the right place, and he wants to help out with the program and everything. His kids have been great to teach. And I found myself having a little bit of common ground with him in that I really couldn't point to anything directly in my life that the Department of Education did. It was the notion of like, oh my God, if the Department of Education went away, then I don't know how my life would be different. Maybe it would be different, but I couldn't really have told you. It seems, on the face of it, insane to have no Department of Education at the federal level. But I think, you can cut the head off a chicken and it will run for quite a while. And I think we're seeing now that you can really shoot a number of holes through the floor of the federal government, and it'll keep floating for a good long while until you suddenly realize, oh, wait, nothing works. And we'll see, I guess, how much of an impact the federal stuff will have downstream. And, in the blue states, we still have teachers' unions. The teachers' unions still operate. We don't have the agency fee anymore, which, for those of you who are not in the unionized teacher world, previously, before a Supreme Court decision, the name of which I can't remember, you could join the union at a unionized school, any public school, and you would be able to vote for union representation and everything, and you would pay dues.
Yes.
But if you decided not to join the union, then you wouldn't pay dues. You would pay something called an agency fee because you were benefiting from the union's representation. So you were required to pay for that. Agency fees have gone away.
Oh, wow.
So now any teacher can freeload by, being bound by the contract and being pointed to the contract saying, hey, you've got to pay me what the contract says, but I won't pay the dues.
Yeah, right. I'll let other people negotiate that contract for me.
Yes, and I will let other people pay for those services.
Pay for that.
And for all the legal services that the unions require in order to get all this done.
Yep.
But in the blue states, at least in Massachusetts, the vast majority of teachers still believe, no, I should be a union member and I should pay dues. And it's still working. The wheels have not come off.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been that long. So we'll see.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We'll see. Well, unions are also not in their heyday. It's not like it's a great time for unions. Maybe for teachers' unions, certainly not for, like Amazon unions and other places that are
that's the public sector unions had been really the last island where you could still find them. And starting in 2010 with Act 10 in Wisconsin, where they gutted all public sector unions, it's just been, the hunt has been on. And they've been picking us off and eroding the supports. But we roll on in Massachusetts.
Yeah, we roll on. Yeah, and it's funny how the rolling often involves people's realizing, wait, now that it's not here, I wanted it. It's good.
Yeah,
I just worry that so many of us are so complacent and so entitled that we just assume what is normal for us is what we're going to be getting, that there's nothing happening behind the scenes that gets that stuff to us, like good contracts that are negotiated by, workers. And it's not until we lose those things that we realize the value of them. And I think that's just probably part of living in a nation where we get a lot of perks and don't have to think that hard about where they come from. So.
Yeah. And on the other side of that whole issue is the notion that, we've just had every school board, every school committee in our county here is having to face real tight budgets.
Exactly.
Everything costs more.
Yeah.
The Berkshire district just to the south of us, South County district, just laid off, I think, the equivalent of 23 and a half full-time employees, and it's a tiny district. It's tiny.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. See, that might be an effect of the federal closing off the spigot, that whatever the Department of Education is doing, actually, there's money that they're clawing back and not distributing, I'm sure. I mean, if we were talking to an administrator, we'd probably hear more about the belt tightening that has to happen because of that.
And then again, you get down to this American feudalism where depending on where you can afford to buy a house, the support of the community, how much the community can afford to contribute to its local public schools. You have the situation in the south of Berkshire County where they're laying off people left and right, including librarians. and people who just the basic infrastructure of how education works. And then you have a district like the one where I'm lucky enough to teach, where the school committee and the superintendent just went and said, well, we are going to have to maintain the same level of services. We need more money. So here's how much we need. And the town just says, okay.
Yep.
That's the kind of place I live.
Yes.
But, with a decent howitzer, I could hit the districts south of us where they're laying off 23 and a half full-time employees.
Yeah, because their town can't afford it or won't afford it.
Yeah, he can't or won't.
Yeah. I'm going to share some things that I've picked up on from the blogs that I read religiously about the world. And this one I just happened to be reading. It's called The Big Picture. I just love it, this Substack, where the author is talking about Christian nationalism in our schools, how Christian nationalists are starting to move in. And so you're not going to be surprised. We know that Trump has gone after DEI, whatever he thinks that is, DEI and CRT, which is critical race theory. But I just saw actually last night on Rachel Maddow, the story was about the president's house in Philadelphia, which is the structure or the foundation or something of the house that our first presidents lived in while the White House was being built. Right? Because the White House didn't exist forever. It was being built by slaves while our government was functioning. So George Washington lived in this house. I don't know who else lived in it, with 9 slaves. A house in Philadelphia. He was our first president, and he lived in that house with 9 slaves. And because it's a museum now, people want to walk through that space. There's also been, since like the 70s or something, an exhibit about slavery in the United States. The exhibit is called Freedom and Slavery in the Making of a New Nation. And it acknowledges that this man, whom we revere, had 9 slaves living with him in Philadelphia, not to mention down in Mount Vernon or wherever his farm was. So that's been going on for decades. And at the beginning of this year, in January of 2026, I think, or was it last year, Trump's Park Service went and took down that exhibit, just ripped those big boards that were on the walls down, leaving, crap behind, kind of like the Grinch, like some hooks and some wah. And they've taken those things away. It's under I guess, fighting it and trying to get it back. But there's an example of what our government is doing in terms of education that we don't want anyone, and this is the whole theme, of course. So there's this House Resolution 8705. I didn't know about this. Civics and History Advancement to Restore Learning, Integrity, and Education Act, named Charlie after Charlie Kirk of USA, whatever it's called. They're amending the ESEA. This resolution is amending the Elementary and Secondary Education Act to restrict teaching of transgender issues, racism in the U.S., and diversity. That was introduced into the House on May 21st. Right? The Charlie Act. We don't want white children to feel ashamed or to feel bad. That's a quote. We don't want them to feel bad about the true history of our country. Okay, so that's something they're doing. Then there's HR 2616, Stopping Indoctrination and Protecting Kids Act, requiring schools to report trans students to their parents.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure what that even means. I know some teachers who don't understand what trans is. Like, how would they even identify someone who's trans? Anyway, that's an act. It passed the House on the 21st of May. It's on to the Senate now. So this government is actually doing shit. If that may not be the Department of Education, but the Republican Congress people are passing this anti-DEI, anti-LGBTQ plus. It's happening at the federal level. It's happening at the state level. They're going down in Texas. I mean, it's crazy, in my view.
Oh, no, in my view as well. Are we going to soon teach that the Civil War was a tie? Is that what we're going to teach?
Wasn't it?
Because we don't want any white children from the South to feel embarrassed or sad about their ancestors having lost a war or having fought a war in which they were in the wrong. I thought we all agreed that Nazis were bad. I thought that was something we had all pretty much put a bow on. And I thought we had agreed that the South was wrong in the Civil War. I thought that was pretty much, conventional wisdom. They have maintained down there forever that, it wasn't about slavery, which is just such utter horseshit. And the truth is, You were fighting to continue to enslave people. You
Yes.
lost. And the people who were under your boot are only free because you lost.
Yeah.
And then you spent the next 100 years doing everything you could to keep them in some measure of
That's right.
servitude. But we're not going to teach about that anymore.
No.
We're not going to teach
Because it makes
about
people
that.
feel bad. And besides, Joe, when you said, are we going to like start talking about the Civil War as having been a draw? No, I think we are now living through the Civil War. The South apparently won it.
Mm.
Apparently the South won the Civil War because all this legislation that's coming through here it's the Jim Crow. It's called the new Jim Crow. So, I mean, it's rare that I can't speak, but I'm dumbfounded by the fact that the shit that was going on that caused that war has never, ever died. That people, that the Confederates, the Confederacy is alive and well, and that our current administration is promoting it. And they're promoting it unabashedly. And it's not just, it's the Confederacy and Christian nationalism, which is a huge threat. And I think it's probably another version because it's white supremacist. It's Christian not tinged, just a Christian flaming, example of white supremacy or combination of racism and white supremacy and homophobia and misogyny. It's ruling our world. And just saying, I know we could go on about this forever, but it's affecting our education. I'd just like to point that out. It's affecting what kids get to think about, to read, to hear about, to talk about, to wrestle with, as if feeling bad or ashamed is death to our students. Like, feel bad and work through it. Isn't that what education is supposed to help us do?
Yeah. I mean, feel bad, but it's probably a lot like the litter boxes in the schools. I had people I work with who approached me and were like, oh, yeah, no, but there's litter boxes. And it's always...
The furries. Right.
Yes, they're putting litter boxes in the bathrooms. It's always 2 towns away. It's not the town right next door, because that would be too easy to debunk.
Verify,
no, it's 2 towns away. And I think I may have talked about this on a previous episode. I kind of lost my cool a little bit with this colleague, and I just said, so this person who told you this works at this school? And they said, no, but they know somebody. I was like, yeah, no, they're misinformed or they're lying. They don't work at that school. They do not. No, this person is very reliable. And I stuck out my hand and I said, I will bet you $10,000 right now that this is not true. And I actually knew somebody who did work at that school. And I was like, I'm going to call him. I'm going to put him on speakerphone. And it's like, no, I think it's true. It's never been true. It's never been true. And then I think similarly, this whole then these classrooms, they were lining up all the white kids on one side of the room and pointing at them and saying, you're terrible because you're our ancestor. All that crap never frickin' happened.
My God.
No, it didn't happen.
Oh, my
Nobody
God.
did that. You can say to a group of Americans that America made a mistake at some point without traumatizing them. Everybody knows this. Your grandfather, who's still alive, could easily be a raging racist. And somebody should point that out to you and say, you know what, Jimmy, we're not going to be like Grandpa George.
Yeah.
We love Grandpa George. He's been very nice to us, and he's our grandpa, and we're always going to love him. But Grandpa George, we're not going to be like that.
Yeah, right.
Since when do we completely carbon copy all the beliefs of any previous generation, let alone have to stand up for and wave the flag of white people who lived hundreds of years ago? And we are not branded with the sins, and nobody is branding the white children with the sins of hi, Becky, the Civil War, that was your fault.
Right. I mean, isn't that the point of education? Is to be able to actually parse that shit out and to realize, okay, there were causes, there were effects, there were contexts, there were reasons. Let's think about it. How do we want to be now? What can we learn from that? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what education is. And if you're not able or not allowed to look at the facts and to discuss them openly, because, I mean, you were saying earlier about some ways that you can resonate with a Trump follower or a supporter. I actually do think that there's too much leftist leaning in universities and colleges. I've taught in universities and colleges. I am a leftist. And I worked with students who were definitely on the right and felt really uncomfortable being in that environment. I get that. And I think that's wrong. In my classrooms, I want people to say what they have to say. I want them to actually say what they believe so we can talk about it. I once taught a class where the main textbook was written by a woman who was very right. She was writing about education and she was interpreting the waves of reform and how education has kind of evolved. And she was someone I disagreed with, and a very famous right. I can't remember her name. She's since flipped and seen the light. But my co-teacher and I taught that book. We wanted our students to be thinking about what that book had to say. And they said to me at the end in their evaluations, we didn't know what you thought. We did not know what your perspective was. Which is exactly what I wanted to hear. I don't want you to know what I think. I want you to figure out what you think. And if we can give you a right-leaning textbook that gets you thinking and where we can have discussions that are like, well, what about this and what about that? That was fun. And that's what I want. And I feel like there are way too many teachers at all levels who are scared of that, who don't know how to keep the space open for what I call the third, so that we can be co-creating understanding based on facts that we don't necessarily agree with.
Right.
Or that we don't necessarily like.
Oh, I'm a leftist too, as you know. And in my advanced Spanish classes, I like to take a theme for the whole year. And my favorite thing to do is right versus left in Latin America.
Nice.
And there is so much to talk about. And when I do in my previous school, which allowed me to leave things up on the wall over the summer and to nail things to the wall, on the right side of my classroom, get it, I had a great big poster of Pinochet from Chile in his famous arms crossed pose with his sunglasses on. And on the left side of my classroom, I had a portrait that had been painted of Fidel Castro by Guayasamín, who is the most famous Ecuadorian artist of all time, and who was a big admirer of Fidel. And it's a very, sympathetic kind of portrait. And I've got a dictator on this side who took over control of his government violently because of what he believes. And I have a dictator on that side who took control of his government violently because of what he believed. And, I teach all kinds of things about artistic production, movies, films, songs, artists who talk about this struggle, left versus right. And I have to talk about what the right believes basically and what the left believes basically. And one of my very proudest moments was a student of mine who went on to really great things, wrote this incredible university thesis in Spanish. And at one point, maybe 2/3 through the year, she's like, all right, Mr. Johnson, hang on. So the right believes, and she gave, the basic points of the right. And I said, yes. And this was all in Spanish. And then she said, and the left believes, blah, 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 blah. She gave a pretty good, ticker of all the things the left believes. And I said, yeah. Right. And she looked so frustrated and she said, well, which is good and which is bad? And I was like, exactly. Yeah. You can paint both of these as good things. It is a good thing to protect the rights of the individual. And it is a good thing to think about and protect the rights of the collective. They are often in conflict. How do we resolve this? That's what we're working on, right? And you don't have to do it in a cartoon version where, well, because I believe this, but we back away from it. Or because
Americans believe this, right?
Exactly.
As Americans, we're supposed to believe certain things, and we know that that's true in education forever. Textbooks are all skewed towards what Americans are supposed to believe. Bullshit. You and I obviously are on the same page. I think minds can take information and put it together, and we can dig up our own assumptions, and we can think about our own values and draw our own conclusions, but stay open to new information and possibilities. And the process, the struggle of trying to make sense of that question, what's good and what's bad? Wait a minute, what's good, what's bad? That's what education should be. I'm proud of you for that moment, Joe.
That was a highlight, definitely.
Love it. All right, we've got a picture of what's going on kind of at the national level. There are other things going on in the states about critical race theory. I'm not sure. Don't say gay laws. I mean, the laws that are being passed in states, oh my God. Oh my Don't say gay.
Don't say gay.
Don't be gay. Don't say gay. Don't be trans. Don't be yourself, because it's gonna, whatever, make me nervous. I mean, holy shit.
Yeah.
So, and also, as you know, we can all kind of fall back on this trope. You know, what you're most afraid of is probably what you're afraid of in yourself. What you're most afraid of in other people is probably what you think might be true for you. And this whole conservative way of controlling other people, like foisting on other people your constraints, because I believe you fear that if you were not constrained, that you would go crazy, you know? So we're going to constrain everybody else because surely they're going to go crazy if they're not constrained. I just really worry about this kind of, you know, every accusation is a confession. Every constraint is an expression of fear about what you would do with freedom if you had it, if you would allow yourself to have it.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole, you know, the religious argument that the only thing keeping people from raping and murdering all the time is the fear of eternal damnation.
Damnation.
And there's a, you know, like I'm a leftist. Everybody can recognize it, but I love Ricky Gervais. He had some show where he was a character who was an atheist, and another character said, well, if there's no afterlife, and there's no punishment, then why don't you just go around raping and killing as much as you want? And he said, I do. And she said, you do what? And he said, I do go around raping and killing as much as I want, which is not at all. That's how much I want.
Exactly. I was just going to say, well, I don't want to do those things.
Right.
And so I don't.
Apparently you feel like without those restrictions, you would be doing that?
Exactly.
That's
what I'm saying. No, it's I actually can restrain myself, in fact.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we got to hang the 10 Commandments on the walls. Otherwise, the kids will have no idea.
Yeah. They won't have any values. They won't have any morals. And they will not hold themselves in line.
Yeah.
So, you know, book bans. There are so many things that are happening out there that I think, listeners, you probably know how Joe and I feel. You know what? I just want to say at this moment, there might be some of you out there listening who are not leftists, who are more conservative, who skew towards the right, who disagree with what we're saying. You know what? You might believe that Joe and I would be absolutely cool to hear your opinion, because we are open to other people's perspectives. We're not threatened by them. I have very strong opinions. I know you do too, Joe, but damn, I'll listen. I can hear you. I am not going to freak out because you have a different opinion. If you're mean or vicious, or you troll me, or in any other way express the poison in your body and that you can't take care of and manage yourself, then I'll be pissed. But if anyone wants to come talk to me about, this is how I feel, this is how I see it, this is the data that I've collected, and this is how I put it together, I'm open to that. So please make comments if you disagree with our strong opinions here.
Yeah, love to hear it.
I'm not saying that we're the be-all and end-all. Well, let's move on to a happier note, which is Teaching Through Emotions, which is this very podcast that we're having right now. So it's been a year. This is I think our 20th episode in season 3. It's the longest season I've ever had this is the 3rd season. It's been a long season. We've been dropping something every 2 weeks, which is amazing, Joe.
Impressive.
It is impressive. So I just wanted to wonder out loud about our favorite episodes. Do you have any favorite episodes that you can think of?
There's a recency bias going on, I'm sure. But I remember having a lot of fun talking with the guest who now lives in Great
England.
Britain.
Rachel Branham. Yeah.
Rachel.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun, just talking about the dynamics. Yeah, I remember. What was the theme there?
Detachment. We were talking about detachment.
Right. And
Care versus care.
Versus care.
The squishy. Being squishy.
Being too squishy, not squishy enough. And that magic line that you'll never find.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Your whole career is like throwing darts at a dartboard and you miss all the time. But hopefully if you drew a line between all the darts that you've thrown, they would all intersect at exactly that right point.
Oh,
but
love it.
You're just going to keep missing. But you got to try to do better next time.
Well, isn't it true that missing is part of the experience? Because if you didn't miss, you wouldn't have anything to think about. I mean, we're human. And so we have to be constantly adjusting and wondering and gathering the data. And I think like getting up in the morning, I hope, and feeling excited about trying it again, going at it again. What will I do well today? And what am I going to learn today? I mean, I know that's a big ask, especially if you're getting up at like 5:30 in the morning, really. But I feel like that's part of being human, is feeling like, yeah, it's hard and I'm not feeling great, or I'm in pain today, or I have been worrying about something that happened yesterday and I don't know. I think I did something wrong and I feel terrible about myself. All that shit. If we can feel like that's all data and we can get better and flex our muscles in new ways every day, that feels like hope to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the idea of finding that line, like, approaching it and missing it and straddling it and feeling it and noticing that that didn't feel good, but I'm not sure why. Or that felt great and I'm not sure why. All that's super interesting to me.
No, it's like intellectually is not unlike physically. If the activity that you're doing all the time feels easy, then it's not very good for you.
Huh.
You're not growing, you're not stretching, you're not sharpening.
So interesting.
Yeah.
So interesting.
I mean, 57 now, and the way I've always put it is, as you get older, you have two choices. You can be sore all the time because you exercise, or you can be sore all the time because you don't. And I think if you have a job that isn't challenging, that isn't like, doesn't keep you up at night at all, well, then you pay a price for that. You don't pay the emotional price of having to be haunted by difficult interactions and trying to figure out how to do this right. And, the fear like, they're going to sabotage it again. How do I keep this from happening? How do I keep the good vibes going despite the fact that I keep getting bad vibes? If you're not kept up at night by that kind of stuff, then it's just unfulfilling, whatever job it is you are doing.
Yeah. And the hope is that there's something you do that, brings you joy and challenges you. Yeah. I think there are plenty of people, I think about musicians and writers who do just shit jobs just to pay the bills, but their challenges come in their creativity or in their home lives, their family, raising their children or having an intimate relationship. There's so many ways that we can challenge ourselves, and it doesn't have to be our job. Yeah. We're lucky. You and I are lucky, I think. I feel lucky that the work I do is life challenging for me. It's always challenging and interesting. Of course, TTE is about teaching, because I love teaching and see it as a crucial element in our nation's children's healthy development. But here's a little secret that all of you know. The stuff Joe and I talk about applies everywhere to everyone in any relationship. So, if you heard something today that applies to your non-education world, law, business, child rearing, nonprofit leading, frickin' friend or family surviving, let me know. Leave a message either on my Substack or on the TTE hotline, 413-239-4158. Or in a review, share how useful this podcast is in your own life. Or in a comment, tell me how what we talked about today relates, how you apply it, how you want to apply it, how you did apply it, and what happened when you did. We'll share your message on the air.
If I had a job where I didn't have to think about what I was doing all day, and I don't want to denigrate anybody's job, but I'll think of some jobs that I have done that I know while I was doing it, I didn't have to really think about what I was doing.
Yeah.
Like, I've mowed lawns for a living. And when I was doing that, it's not like that was fully engaging my frontal cortex. So guess what I would be thinking about? I would be thinking about the thing that I think about and talk about all day at my job now, which is human language. That's what I would have been thinking about.
Yeah.
So it's a privilege. It's a privilege to have a job where that is what I get to concentrate on. And I get to hopefully inspire some love of that subject and curiosity about it. Why are we the way we are? How does this whole crazy code system that we've invented, and you're telling me there's thousands of these code systems and they all work equally well?
Yeah.
How can that be? It's like, isn't that a crazy mystery? Well, that's the can of worms that I open up for kids all day and, subject them to what I've been thinking about.
Yeah.
For years. It is wonderful. It's wonderful.
It is wonderful.
It's very, very stimulating.
Just saying, teaching is wonderful. If you love to think about these kinds of ideas or these kinds of phenomena, like human life, I love it. I really liked the Rachel Branham episode too. I thought it was so fun. But I just re-listened to episode 2, like the first co-hosted maybe episode that you and I did in season 3. And that one was about the judgmental teacher, the teacher who considered herself too judgmental because she walked into her classroom late one morning and people were swarming her desk and she just felt like, get away from my desk. And then thought, oh shit, I'm a bad person for wanting them to get away from my desk. I'm too judgmental. Super interesting episode.
Yeah.
And I just have to say, Joe, I finished listening to that and I thought, I love Joe so much.
Oh.
You're so smart. Your stories and the ways you're thinking about things. And I just throw shit at you and you take it and you catch it and you're like, oh, that makes me think of this. And you tell a funny story or an anecdote. It's a really great episode. Listeners, if you like Joe, that's a really great one to re-listen to. Because you come through.
It's a narrow demographic to Joe fans.
Well, this is the thing about doing podcasts is you have no idea. As far as I'm concerned, no one is listening. But there are people who I'm sure like they go to dinner parties and they're like, have you listened to Teaching Through Emotion? You know that Joe Johnson?
Could be.
He's something. You got to listen to him.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's one of my favorites.
Unforgettable name guy.
Right.
Yeah. Those 2 episodes are similar. You've got that crazy line that you're trying to hit between
Exactly.
How public a figure am I? How public a space is this that we are all in? Which corner of this space is not public?
Yeah.
And how not public is it?
Yeah, and where's my privacy? What about my garden? How does my garden fit in this public space? And what about all these other people's gardens? And does my garden include my desk at this moment? It doesn't have to, but right now maybe it does. I just think the fact that people with their gardens are bumping into each other all day long anyway is amazing. But
That's
in a school where you've got like 31 people in one classroom bumping around, imposing on each other, impinging on each other,
right,
raising emotions in each other, what an incredibly amazing, complex system.
Not just a group of 31 people, a group of 31 adolescents often.
Exactly. Who probably bring out the adolescent in their teacher too.
They're all sort of half-baked and gooey in the center and I'm 6'2", but my shoulders are still 13 inches across.
Right, exactly.
The way their body is like not adult and not child, and their minds are that way too, and their emotions. We just had today, the AP, the seniors are gone. So all I have left is non-seniors.
Nice.
And in my AP Spanish class, I have 3 kids who are not seniors. So we're teaching each other card games. And we play them. It's all in Spanish. You have to explain the rules in Spanish, and you have to talk tactics in Spanish.
That's so great.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. And as a really sweet kid, he had just finished dealing. And so he got all the cards together, and he pushed them off to the person who was going to deal. But he didn't get them all facing the same direction. And he didn't stack them neatly like in a deck before he handed them on. He just sort of pushed them into a pile and then pushed them in her direction. Yep. And then we had a talk about, I'm not sure that's cool, Obviously, it's not a terribly offensive thing, but you had them all in your hands and you're going to push them off to somebody else. And that person gets to shuffle them, yes, but whose responsibility is it to get them all facing the same direction and at least, stacked? Why push this horrible, nasty pile of stuff off on that person? So then we got, where is that line? How much am I responsible for doing before I hand these off to the next person? That was a fun conversation.
Oh my God, that's so fantastic. Yeah. Where's the line? Where is the line? That could be the theme. Where's the line?
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a book.
Considerateness, self-absorption versus other orientation, or at least consideration of other people. It's fantastic. And you're right. Adolescents need to be working on that. And young kids, I'm thinking young kids in their own little bodies and with their very, very plastic brains, just working with human beings. What a job. What a job. Teaching them, working with them, connecting with them interacting with them, getting used by them, getting objectified by them. You're doing it back to them, finding that line about how to be the best human you can be right now. It's so great. And I just think, probably every single episode that you and I did in season 3 approaches that question, whether we said it explicitly or noticed it explicitly or not. It's a great hypothesis for those of you who want to do dissertations on TTE.
Yeah. Hey,
right?
I'd love to interview. Have you ever wondered what percentage of a teacher's job has to do with the material they're trying to teach, knowledge of it, and what percentage of it is just the managing a group of adolescents or whatever age and keeping everything? What percentage, I wonder? I think people want to go into teaching, maybe, I don't know. Some people want to go into teaching because they think it's mostly about the material. But
especially high school and college.
I'm not sure that's true. I'm not sure it's even north of 50% about the material.
I would say that true teaching is about what the students know and don't know. And a teacher's job is to set up the conditions under which students will learn what the teacher thinks they need to learn. Given the content that they are supposed to forge relationships with, and given the presence in the same room of each other, where do they have to go? What do they need to know? How do they need to think? What do they need to be able to say? That's something that a teacher should be thinking about. But I think for me, teaching is, I don't know about percentage, but close to 100% about the students and their wrestling with, their forging relationships with each other, with the teacher, and with the content. And personally, I think it has so little to do with what teachers know. When I'm working with teachers, I'm like, great, you know it. You went through the struggle. So who gives a shit what you know? What matters in the classroom is what the students know. And that, I mean it. What do they know when they start your class? What don't they know? What do they think? What are they expecting? And then how are you going to move them in the direction that you want them to get to? Because you know enough about the content. You know where they need to go. You know what it's like to be a person who lives in this academic world or intellectual world that's your specialty. Get them there. But it's really about them. It's not about what you know.
Yeah.
Again, we're going back to our students who are like, what's right? What's wrong? Or I don't know what your opinion is. I want to know what your opinion is. No, it's not about what I know. I'm not going to force that on you. I'm going to help you figure out what you know. And I'm going to make it disciplined and rigorous so that you're not being stupid, so that you're actually wrestling, pinging around with each other and with ideas and coming up with, wait a minute, this seems like this is good in some ways, but bad in others. And right, that's what we want our students. We want them to wrestle. We want them to wrestle with it, to struggle with it.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I think it's true.
I don't know about percentages, but I feel like the work is the students, but this kind of work can be so much fun, just like teaching each other card games and then discussing about the morality of it.
Right. What is the proper etiquette here? Yeah, that was fun.
I actually think that this episode that I just listened to, episode 2, is one of our listeners' favorites. The one that's called, Are You a Judgmental Teacher? Or Are You Too Judgmental? Or something. I wish I remembered. You guys, I don't remember the titles. But there are some good episodes there, and there are people who are listening. So what I really want to kind of underline here is, you probably don't know this, Joe, but TTE now has over 10,000 downloads. 10,000.
Really?
It's actually over 1,100 now. I think just yesterday it was 10,000 and today it's 1,100. So please, listeners, keep listening.
Oh my gosh.
Keep listening. Download, share with your friends. I hope that you benefit from this. This is why Joe and I get together and do this stuff. We love it. We love it, but we hope you do. And so that's really exciting. I also just want to point out that, about, I think 5 of the episodes we did this year, which would be half of our co-hosted episodes, Joe, were based on teachers contacting us, people we know or who contacted me to talk about issues that they brought, which is very exciting. Some of them use the hotline. It's a weird system, but I really want to encourage more teachers to do that, because I'll get in touch with you, man. We'll talk. We'll figure out what the angle is. I'll help and support you. But then we'll bring you to the podcast, and Joe and I can talk through it with you, and we all benefit. All 3 of us on the podcast, but then people who listen. It's so much fun. So I really encourage anybody who has an issue, who is kind of bamboozled by something, or feels bad about themselves, or thinks they should be quitting teaching, or feels burned out, just contact us and we can talk and figure out what might be going on.
Absolutely. I would love to be able to, if in any way at all. And not necessarily, like, I don't want to go into any such interaction thinking my point or my goal here is to keep this person from leaving teaching. Maybe they should.
Right.
But you shouldn't make that decision feeling like you're by yourself in it, you know? And you also shouldn't go into it just thinking, well, I suck at this and I'm not going to do this, because
that's painful.
It's entirely possible that you actually don't.
Yes.
Yeah, but it hurts. It's like, okay, but there are ways it can hurt less when you know that other people go through the same thing and you're not like, look, I'm just a lone crazy person here who can't figure this out.
Yeah.
Just to have somebody else is like, I've been doing it for 30 years. No one ever figures it out. You know, you learn to live with it and you learn to put it in its proper perspective, its proper size, and then it can't hurt you anymore. And you get better at it. I would love to talk somebody through that.
Right. And the whole point of teaching through emotions, which is to say, okay, you're hurting. There's meaning there. Yeah. It's not just hurting. It's not just pain. It's not just, you don't go to a doctor and say, my arm hurts. And the doctor doesn't say, yeah, well, sorry to hear it. The doctor says, let's figure out what's going on. That's what we do on teaching through emotions. We say, you're hurting. Your soul is hurting you. Oh, there's stuff in there that we can figure out. We'll figure out what's going on, what the pain means, and how you can shift and adjust, and what you can learn about yourself, and how you can interact differently with the people who are causing pain or you think are causing your pain. How do you learn about your personal patterns that are actually helping you? This is the episode about the judgmental teacher. She interpreted her world in a way that led her just kind of send it back to herself. Like, I'm a bad person. I'm a judgmental person. No, ma'am. That's not the conclusion that we came to. That's actually not the truth. So you can hurt because you're hurting yourself, because you're interpreting the world in a certain way. You are no worse a person
than anybody else.
Yeah, you're a wonderful person. If you're in teaching, you're a wonderful person. Let's let that shine. And you're probably also a savior type who wants to help everybody, and you're willing to stab yourself with daggers because you're not a good enough person. No. Bring it. We can help you pull the dagger out of your gut. We'll bind up the wound, and then we will let you shine as the wonderful person you are, because there's truth there that you can't see because of the fog, as we talked about in episode 2, the fog of emotion and interpretation. So it's so important, I think, for teachers to hear. If you think you know what your feelings mean, if you think you know that it's the system that's causing your burnout, or it's, a colleague that's hard and you just want to leave, you are probably wrong. I mean, systems can suck. So I'm not going to say that someone who's working in a terrible, exploitative, abusive system shouldn't leave. And as you say, I've actually become kind of a divorce expert in my therapy practice back in the day. I can help people get divorced. No. That's not a problem. But before you do it, let's do some work on who you are, because you're going to bring yourself to the next job. It's going to happen again, I guarantee you. So at least to some degree. So yes, really great.
You can't run away from your arm that hurts. Your arm is still going to hurt. It's like, that's not
If your
the
arm
solution.
is broken, it's broken.
Yeah.
Right?
And
you got to heal it.
My job doing this makes me feel uneasy and uncomfortable. Like, well, I mean, it probably isn't the job. There's lots of jobs are going to do that.
Not wholly. Yeah. I mean, jobs can really suck.
Yes,
there are things about jobs that really suck, but it is also how you're interacting with that system. Everything is two-way. Relationships are two-way. So all that to say, contact us all summer long. I'm around. If you send something into the TTE hotline, 413-239-4158, I'll be in touch with you and we can figure out, how to support you. So do it. Please do contact us. Another thing about the TTE world is the TTE merch. I don't know if you've even seen it, Joe. I should probably buy you a t-shirt and a mug. It's fantastic. It's a logo that was made by my amazing producer, Julian Androkaya. It says, "Stay in your effing garden." And it says that on a t-shirt, and it says it on a mug, which I think is a really good thing to have, just in case.
I assume it's got the name of the Teaching Through Emotions.
teachingthroughemotions.com. You betcha. Yeah. So go to my Substack, look at, I think, store or my store, click on that, and you guys, the t-shirts are really comfortable and the mugs are adorable. So that's fun. It's fun to have TTE merch. I might make a baseball cap one of these days. That you might like, the baseball cap. stay in your effing garden. It's really good advice. It's like if you are going to be going to a party with someone who tends to bleed over into you, or you work with someone who can't stop talking and using you, you just pick up your mug, you take a sip, you make sure that graphic is facing outward so that they might say, what do you mean by stay in your effing garden? Well, let me tell you what I mean.
Did I ever tell you that I had to look up how to say effigy in Spanish class one time?
No.
And I wanted to say effigy, and I was pretty sure it was effigie. And it is, it turns out. I did know that word. But I pulled up my big emergency dictionary, Spanish-English dictionary, and I looked up effigy. E-F-F-I-G-Y. And the entry right below effigy was effing. E-F-F-I-N-G.
But it should be E-F-F-I-N apostrophe. How do you say that
everybody
in Spanish?
says it.
Right,
yeah.
right. And the G, what?
And it was the most perfect translation I've ever seen. The example that they gave was, this effing dog for some reason. And then they translated that into, in Spanish, there's a swear word, mierda, which means shit. And then, so if you hit your finger and you're about to say, mierda, but you look over and your grandmother is there. And you can't finish the word. So you say miércoles, which means Wednesday. So
oh my God,
the translation of this effing dog was este perro de miércoles.
This Wednesday dog.
Yeah, perfect translation.
I love that.
Perfect. All
that
that's
is so
because I was
great.
wondering, how did you spell effing when the effing garden on the t-shirt?
I spelled it the right way.
With an apostrophe.
E-F-F-I-N apostrophe. Yeah.
Stay in your effing garden.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next time it's going to be stay in your Wednesday garden. Oh my God, Joe, that's such a great story. Well, so all that to say, go check it out. It's really pretty. It's a pretty logo and it's graphic. And, it's a good message that is very TTE. I actually spoke with some teachers that I'm working with. I'm training them to facilitate teacher support groups. And I said, look, if I were going to put a slogan on some merch, what would it be? And one of them was immediately, stay in your effing garden. I got to use it. So
love it.
Something else I started doing, I don't know if you know about this, Joe, but I've been publishing a rant every other week. We drop an episode, a podcast episode in 1 week. And then the next week on Friday, I publish a rant where I'm like, it's like 5 to 7 minute, what the fuck kind of, there's my F-bomb.
Yeah.
What the
That's
fuck
not the first
kind of
one,
rant?
is it?
I think it might be the first one.
Wow.
Huh. I'm amazed that I was able to restrain myself. So there are rants. They're for paid subscribers only. So if you want to hear my bi-weekly rants or, listen to them in back episodes, you can subscribe and listen to all of them. You can just pay $5 a month and listen to all of them and then cancel and you'll be done. They're worth it. I just want to say, speaking of paid subscriptions, I started trying to get people to buy subscriptions,
Mm-hmm.
And I am so ambivalent about this. I just don't like it. I don't like self-promoting and I don't like asking people to pay.
Yeah.
I think it's right to do it if you're listening to someone religiously and you feel like, I really want this to continue, I will become a paid subscriber. But I just hate asking for it. And I tried, I did it, and I dropped it. So just saying, guys, if you feel like, being paid subscribers, I'm going to try to make more stuff available to you. It's very hard for me to make a paid subscriber episode because I want teachers to read all of my Substacks. I want them to hear every podcast. It's very difficult for me to choose. This one's for paid subscribers only. I don't know. It just feels fucking sadistic. There's my second F-bomb. It feels sadistic.
Bam.
But there are people who do it, like people I love, like Andy Borowitz and Robert Reich and Paul Krugman. Pod Save America. They really encourage people to buy subscriptions because it's about supporting the work of the people who are doing what you like to listen to or what you want to read. So I get it. I respect these people who are asking for subscriptions. I just really hate doing it myself, and I'm not that good at it.
No, that's for the same reason I hated being in any kind of elected office, because at some point you do have to make the case of why you are a better choice than someone else.
Oh, yeah.
I'm from Wisconsin. We don't do that,
Oh, wow.
It's not the self-promotion stuff. But I get it because like I have a teachers pay teachers page, but everything is free.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I
Exactly.
had it. I was like, give me $10 for this if you want it. And I did get some, but I was like, I just want people to have this.
Exactly.
And the other thing is I would be doing it anyway.
Yeah, that's
Whether
right.
I put it up for them to find it, it's for my class. It's for teaching. That's why I made it.
Yeah.
So it would exist anyway, and I get paid to do that. So that's okay. But this right here that you're doing, you don't get paid to do this anyway.
No, in fact, I pay.
Yeah.
Right? I
So
have
this
a
is
team.
a different thing. Teachers pay teachers paid. It's like, take it. It's fine. Somebody already paid me to make this.
Yeah.
But nobody's paying you to make this.
Right.
So
That's
I
right.
get
I
it.
mean,
I get it.
fair
Looking
enough.
for a way to get people to help support this is not just okay. I think it's good.
Well, it's also a shot in the arm.
Yeah.
You know, it makes me feel like, oh God, this matters. This work does matter. I mean, I love having free subscribers too. Free subscribers are super welcome, but any paid subscribers are even more valued to me because they actually add value to my bank account, which then goes right back out to Julian and Andrea, my wonderful team. And, you know, I don't pay you. And I would like to be able to do that too, but we're just not making the money. So I'll take you out to dinner, Joe.
There we go. Bing, bing, bing.
That'd
You're
be
watching
good.
my dogs for me too.
Yeah, right. Right. Well, you watch our dog. All right. So I'm just going to talk about self-promotion. I have to do this because what the hell? There's TTE, which is my professional life, the podcast and the Substack, but there's also my professional life that's also teaching through emotions outside of the online stuff. And I've been working with a couple of schools, helping them change their teacher culture. I've actually been working with a lot of people to help change their cultures from poisonous or burnout culture or siloed culture or bad-mouthing culture, you know, complaining culture to more healthy cultures where communication happens much more openly, where care and love can flow. So that's stuff I've been doing this year. You don't know this, Joe, but I'm piloting an online course, a course design course based on the course that I taught at our local college for many, many years, for several years. I really honed it. It's a great course. You can get basically an entire semester of classes organized in 6 weeks. So I'm making that online course that I'm piloting this summer with some teachers. I'm hoping to get some college professors too. And you know this, Joe, but I don't know if listeners do that. I've completed a book proposal that I'm sending out now to agents trying to get published. It's beyond TTE. It's the whole world. The working title is Saving the World One Asshole at a Time. And because I feel like we're surrounded by assholes, as I put it in the proposal, it's a golden age of assholes right now. There are just way too fucking many. And we have got to figure out how to pull ourselves back and start being our best selves with each other, even in the face of assholes. And that's what the book is about. What to do with an asshole, with a different type of asshole. What do you do? How do you manage them? And how do you get that miracle to happen when you actually interact, connect with them, couple with them, that is, fit with them in ways that actually get their needs met and make them feel seen and heard and cared about. So it can be done. I do it all the time. It happens all the time. So that's more TTE work that's just trying to send it out to a broader audience.
Awesome. I'm so excited about that project. It sounds, I'd love to read whatever you've got up until now, but I think you're probably wanting to wait until it's all assembled to
Well, you will be a
launch it.
reader.
Yeah.
At this point, it's the proposal. I've got a lot of other stuff in the background, but I'm just waiting to find an agent who will help shape it, help represent the reader, because I'm so full. There's so much I could say. There's so many ways I could write it that I just need someone to say, this is how you should do it. Or, a publisher with an editor who would do that for me. So once I start writing it for real, it's basically done, but I can't say for sure that it's the way the format will be in. You will be one of my readers for sure.
Awesome.
You were a reader for my first book, and you were very, very helpful. So
Can't wait.
that's the news. All right. So I just want to say that one of the things I'm working on for season 4 is I would like listeners to hear actual teacher support groups happening, recorded real time. I want to record actual teacher support groups because I just haven't been able to convince teachers that this is worth doing. not even, the stuff you and I have been doing, which has been based on teacher support groups. Like, here's a story. Here's what we talked about. It's still really hard to get teachers to join teacher support groups, even though I've been watching it all year. It helps people. It helps them deal with burnout. It helps them avoid burnout. It helps them connect with each other in ways that
I'm here to
reduce the
tell you.
pain, right?
If you do get one of these at your school, if you do get into a teacher support group with several of the teachers, you will be talking about it, and you will be using the language that you pick up for years that will echo across the rest of your career. I have no doubt. I still, every single day teaching, I use / remember, think about, ponder things through the lens of what we did in the teacher support group. They transform my teaching. They'll transform yours.
Love it. Wow. Thank you for that. That's a great, again, unpaid spot. So what I want to say is if anybody out there would be willing and interested in joining a TSG that will get recorded, so you can actually become a podcast, celebrity, completely camouflaged. We would not give your name. You'd have a pseudonym, but we would record what happens inside the group. Let me know. Again, you can just send me an email, betsy@teachingthroughemotions.com. You can leave a comment on my Substack. You can call the hotline and just leave your name and contact information. It will be totally confidential. So could be fun, really fun. I'm excited about it. If you've been listening to this podcast, you know that Joe and I have been making a fuss about teacher support groups, right? That's not the first time you've said how valuable teacher support groups have been for you, Joe. And we're constantly talking about this psychodynamic stuff. We love it. It matters. It makes a difference. And if you want to know what all the fuss is about, get in touch. And even if you don't want to be recorded, if you are interested in joining a teacher support group, I've got people who can run them now. So get in touch and let me know, and I can form, a fully remote teacher support group too. So that's always a possibility.
At the very least, get a copy of the book. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You can,
There's
maybe
that.
you can't get into a group with a whole bunch of people, but you can read a book.
Yeah.
And it'll definitely help.
It's called The Feeling of Teaching, and it's on the Substack, on teachingthroughemotions.com Substack. So yeah, that's a great recommendation. Again, thank you, Joe.
Of course.
All right, now for the summer. We're almost done. What are you doing this summer, Joe? I mean, it's almost time. It's almost here.
We had so many snow days this year that it just feels like it's never going to end.
Wow.
We're going until the 26th of June.
I did not know that. Oh my God.
Betsy almost did a spit take right there. Taking it from her
right?
blood. Yeah, it's never
God.
going to end. We've got this week and 2 more. So, yeah, once it ends, once the school year ends, Yannick and I are going to jump into our SUV and haul our camper trailer, and we are heading to the Middle West. We're going to see Thousand Islands, go through Ontario. We're going to swing through Michigan, down across to Illinois, and into Iowa, Wisconsin, back Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and home. So it's going to be
Visiting
3
friends.
weeks. Visiting friends, visiting family, old places and new.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I think we will put 21 straight nights into the camper, which I think is close to how many we've ever put in it. So this is going to be our biggest adventure yet.
With 2 dogs.
With 2 dogs, both of which are very good. One is tiny and the other is dainty. So we'll be fine.
I don't know that I would have called Spock dainty.
He's in some ways.
Oh, he's adorable.
What do you got going on for the summer?
We just came back from Yosemite. So we spent a week in California, my father-in-law's 100th birthday party, and then we went to Yosemite for a few days. So I'm done. I'm actually here for the summer, working on season 4, continuing to work with clients, hoping to maybe find an agent for the book. I don't know. We don't have any plans. In the fall, we might go down to New York City to visit. I'm looking forward to the New York Film Festival in the fall.
Oh, yeah.
This summer, we're just hanging out. We live in this beautiful place, and we're just going to enjoy the summer. It'll be the first full summer here in our newly renovated home. So that's going to be great. And we'll be planting. I think I might be gardening, which I never thought I was going to do. So here's another opportunity. Teachers, it's been a year. You've got summer coming up. I hope you all rest beautifully. Many of you are probably going to be moving into your second and third jobs. I don't know. But if you have some great thing that you're doing this summer, or great advice for people, or good books to be reading for the summer, just leave a comment on the Substack here, and the community will be able to share and benefit from each other. So let us know. Let us know what you're going to do. I hope you're excited about the summer and looking forward to having a really, really well-earned break.
You deserve it.
You deserve it. All right, Joe, I think that's it. I've already said, please leave a voice message about anything on the TTE hotline, 413-239-4158. Leave a comment in Substack, and leave a review on your listening app. If you like this podcast, leave a review, even just give it 5 stars. It helps. It helps people find the podcast. It helps expand our reach, and it gives people a sense of, that it's worth listening to. So at the very least, give us 5 stars. That really, really appreciated. TTE is a Podvision production, created and hosted by me, Betsy Burris, and co-hosted by Joe Johnson. Production and audience development support from Julian Androkaya and Andrea Koskay. Crucial editing by Brad Wells. And the music, which makes me smile and dance every time I hear it, by Tom Burris of Jabbering Trout. Thanks one and all. If you like this episode, text it to a friend. And if you haven't already, sign up for my Substack, where you can become a paid subscriber and get all kinds of goodies, including exclusive podcast episodes that will change your life. That's teachingthroughemotions.com. Thank you for listening.
It's all